You can find From the Dome on iTunes, Podbean.com, and the Podbean app. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, thank you for making us a part of your day. Now, here are your hosts, Augie and Bray.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to From the Dome. This is take 3 of the intro, as I introduced us twice as a different podcast. So, welcome back to From the Dome. This is it is Tuesday, November 7th, 9:37 p.m. We have watched the playoff ranking show once again. We are still in number 3 spot. We held on even after what some are calling and some are saying on Twitter as a letdown of a weekend. We're here to talk about that and much more. Welcome in my co-host, my good friend Augie. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. A little tired, but doing well.
I'm tired as well, man. The new Call of Duty came out, so I'm all about it. You know, I'm staying up way too late.
How are you feeling about that Call of Duty game?
I'm having a good time playing it. I'm having a really good time. Without getting into it too much, it's hard for me sometimes to play a lot of the online public matches. But this game seems a little bit geared towards that. I usually play private type matches and whatnot with friends, and that's kind of what gets me through. But this is kind of a game that I can play against others that I don't know. It's hard to explain if you're not really into it. So I'm enjoying it though. It's good. I'm glad we went back to the roots of Call of Duty, and not only that is back in World War II, but that it's we're not jetpacking all over the face of the earth anymore.
Yeah, I played a couple games on my buddies. It seems like it's a pretty cool game, but I really could care less, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's what I figured, and I'm sure everybody cares less too. But so I see you're wearing a Boston Red Sox hat.
Yeah, just a little souvenir I picked up when we went from Boston. I like the hat. It's a good-looking hat.
Might as well be a Cubs hat.
I also have a Cardinals sweatshirt on, so I'm really two-timing right now.
Two-shade.
Yeah, it's just been a long day. Did a lot of homework today. Been up and at 'em since about 7 this morning, so just grinding along.
So we're going to talk about this Wake Forest game a little bit, and we're going to talk about a little preview to Miami. Might be short and sweet tonight, depending on how many rants Augie goes on. But this is funny. I'm literally looking at the box score, okay, and I never even noticed that Ian Book. I know Ian Book played, but the dude comes in and goes 8 for 8. I mean. I didn't even realize that.
It was a silent 8 for 8 because I don't think I really would have known that. I know he played all right, but I wouldn't have thought he went 8 for 8.
So how scared were you when you saw Wimbush go down right before half?
Obviously very scared. It's scary when anyone goes down. I mean, we saw 2 of our offensive weapons this week go down in a way. I mean, Josh Adams and how you were at the stadium, but the whole time where I'm watching the game, they're saying Josh Adams going through concussion protocol, and then it comes out that he never even went through concussion protocol. So I'm wondering what the hell was being told to these reporters. But anyway, that's just me being pissed. But yeah, I mean, it's never good to see 2 of your best players go down. I'm guessing they left Josh out because why play him when you don't really need him, kind of thing. But it was scary to see Brandon go down as well.
The whole Josh Adams thing is weird to me because, yeah, I mean, I was like, what happened to him, but you see him on the sideline, and it's like, well, he's moving around, he's got his helmet on, he jogged into the tent and came out and nothing, and then Brian Kelly comes out and says he just wasn't feeling right or feeling like himself. Like, there's a lot of days I don't feel myself, but I still have to go about my daily routine,
Yeah, that whole situation is weird, but I believe they came out and said that he should be fine for this week. But it was weird. I mean, he was even wearing his helmet around kind of like how the guys that they're rotating in are usually in kind of one area together, right by a coach or something. Yeah. He was usually in that area with a helmet on, but they would never really put him in. It was weird. I didn't know what to think of it.
I just it's there's nothing wrong with him other than he's tired, or I mean, to me it's just kind of goofy. It's like I don't know. The whole thing is just is weird. I don't understand it. It's a weird excuse. I don't know. It left a lot of room for speculation though amongst reporters and people in the stadium wondering what's going on. And then you see Wimbush go down, and it's like, okay, and he was rolling around on the ground like he was hurt, and I'm like, all right, what? Get up, But he's done that a couple times to us this year. He's fallen on the ground, laid there for a second. People had to help him up, and he comes right back. Like, he gets a little nicked up, but gets right back into the action, I guess. But
I will say the hit that was put on him, though, it looked like he kind of got it in the thigh, and I think his hand got in there as well. And that's what was hurting. And then I think being it cold and probably was more of a stinger is my guess more than anything. But I did see that someone tweeted after the game that his hand did look swollen in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, he got a helmet to his hand essentially got stuck between his thigh and a helmet. So,
right.
Of course, that's going to hurt. And thank God it's not a throwing hand, but he came right back in. I mean,
yeah.
I can't see any long-lasting effects. Except maybe, hey, you're running to your left this week. Are you going to be able to hold the ball with your left hand? I don't know. That could be a question.
Yeah, but you know what, though? You got to be happy with, we're in the first half, and we're up big. But, he goes down. Brandon goes down right in front of the tunnel. They just take him right in. You still had to get a play to get a touchdown, and we did it. You had to be happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, Book comes right in, and again, this was a play apparently that they knew if they got in that situation that they were going to run that exact look, and it sucks for Brandon Wimbush. He runs him down to the 1 or 2 yard line and gets hurt, and Book comes in and throws a wide open touchdown.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but no, to your point, yeah, we're up big at half. 31-10, had a 24-point second quarter after a little bit of a slow start. I mean, one of the things that kind of jumped out and a lot of people are talking about is Wimbush and his success throwing the ball. Now, I have a couple things to nitpick on it, and I'm not going to nitpick too much, but the good thing is this: you can see him every week making strides and getting better and better. It's not gradual strides either. It's okay. We're legitimately getting better at quarterback and throwing the ball week by week by week. The couple nitpicky things that I have is a couple of his throws were very well underthrown, and what strikes me as odd is. So I follow Notre Dame football on Snapchat, and I look at their stuff every day, and I'm a creepy little fanboy, but I every highlight that they throw on there, and I might even be confusing it with some of the stuff I see on Twitter, but like every highlight I see of them in practice, it's almost like he underthrows a deep ball every single day, and it gets picked off, and it's like, okay, I'm seeing highlights of Nick Watkins picking off Wimbush, but everything's underthrown on a deep ball, one-on-one stuff. And I'm just like, you saw a little bit of that this weekend. Even Claypool's nice catch that he had to come back for the ball. He missed a couple guys. A couple as well were still completions, but they kind of had to wait for the ball to get there. I don't know. I'm not trying to be too nitpicky because I do think he is making many, many improvements and strides, and he does look much better. But I don't think he was as good as maybe he's being portrayed to be right now. In terms of, he had 280 yards, but I think he definitely missed some throws, and he definitely even had some completions that were questionable in terms of was that ball in the right spot. And I will say the best throw he had this year was the one to Durham Smythe over the middle, right over the top of a leaping linebacker, put it right in between in a perfect spot. That was the best throw. Seeing throws like that make me still think, okay, this is going forward, but he still has his moments.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did not feel like he played that well this week. He threw the ball. We threw the ball a lot, I thought, for what we've
30
been
times,
doing.
yeah. Well, 38 total, yeah.
Yeah, but 30 by Brandon. And we threw early, too. That was something I noticed. We weren't exactly pounding the ball on the ground early. We were throwing early. And I wonder if that comes from an added confidence now with him at the quarterback position from this team and this coaching staff. He's kind of showed in the past 2 or 3 games that he's able to make throws and make some plays, and then I think some added confidence was put in him, and now we're not afraid to throw the ball 30 times. However, did he show this past week that he is able to throw the ball 30 times? I don't know if you can confidently say that.
Yeah, I think if we're throwing it 30 times this weekend, we're in trouble, and that has to be under 30. 30 or less, I think, is key. moving forward anytime throughout the season, but especially this weekend.
Yeah, and I know a lot of that's because Josh Adams was out, but we were throwing the ball, or we were throwing the ball when it was 7-3 early. So
yeah, and I think I'm thinking of that, and that's a good point. It's like, yeah, we are throwing the ball around the yard a little bit early, and we definitely did this game. We did against Michigan State, but I think of it as this: okay, if we can be aggressive early and maybe hit a shot, it not only softens that defense up even more, but at that point, we actually take and make a shot, and Wimbush has a little bit of confidence. But even with that, I'm thinking, okay, we go 3 and out the first drive, which you don't really want to do, but okay, it happens. But the responsiveness of this team has been positive throughout the season. So it's not like we let 1 or 2 straight 3 and outs dictate what we're doing defensively or anything along those lines. We're able to respond to poor drives. So it's like, okay, we have our first couple drives and if we're aggressive and can hit a home run, I think that they're kind of manning that risk at this point where it's like, okay, who cares? We can respond. We had a punt blocked in our end zone. We were fine. We ended up kicking the crap out of NC State. I don't know, just thinking out loud, I guess.
I think you're correct, and we said it the last couple of weeks, and I think it started really with probably the Michigan State game. We said it's not bad to come out and throw the ball 3 or 4 times early, some short 10-and-out routes, slants, something quick, 2-step drops and 2-step drop and throws, just as something to get him confident. Especially this week is going to be huge when you're on the road. We haven't played a road game since Michigan State, right? Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Because we've had 3 home games in a row with USC, NC State, and Wake Forest. So we haven't been on the road in almost 3 weeks, 4 weeks with the bye. So it's going to be big this week, I think, to get him a couple throws early, some short 2-step drop and throw routes to get his confidence up a little bit. And like you said, soften up that defense, and then let Josh Adams do his thing.
Sure. I mean, that to me, it becomes, as this offense, evolves, if the passing game can be in the 250 to 300 yard range just by accident, having a couple shots down the field and, not 250 to 300 yards because we threw the ball 30, 35, 40 times, but because we were able to make shots and soften that defense, that is just where I think we become virtually unstoppable. I mean, pick your poison at that point because we can hurt you in many ways. And just to put all those people that say we're one-dimensional kind of to the side at that point.
Yeah, and you know what? I would argue right now that we're not exactly one-dimensional. And I would argue that if we were to develop the passing game a little bit more, we'd be 3-dimensional. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. You have a very good running back. Or let's start here. You have one of the best offensive lines in the country, okay? So what that allows you to do is run the ball, and with one of the best running backs and a pretty good backup, 2 backups, I'd say. And then you also have Brandon Wimbush that can run the ball. So you can do some read options. You can do some quarterback runs, design runs, some scrambles. And then, if all else fails, we have a quarterback that, yeah, he's not the best passing, quarterback, but he's still pretty good. So, like you said, if you can develop that passing game just a little more, you're almost 3-dimensional.
3-dimensional, man. We're making up scientific football terms here on From the Dome.
I think it's a good point. I'm gonna take it to my grave.
I'm with you. I mean, they can only help. I mean, that's for sure. But one thing interesting that you said about the offensive line is, okay, so we had Josh Adams go out this week, right? He had 5 carries for 22 yards. On an off day, he still averaged 4 yards a carry. So, okay, so regardless, that's neither here nor there. The point is, we had Deon McIntosh come in, Tony Jones. We had Dex have a couple carries, even though it looked like he was still hobbling around. So, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Josh Adams or take anything away from what Deon McIntosh is doing, but it's like, is this offensive line this good? I mean, we're letting our third string running back come in there and have 63 yards.
So I watched the game with a buddy that really knows nothing about Notre Dame football and another kid that knows probably nothing about football, and I think Deon McIntosh was in. And he had a couple good runs, and the guy that really knows nothing about Notre Dame goes, "Is that the Heisman guy? Is that the guy that's going to get the Heisman?" And I said, "You know what? I see where you can make that mistake because I think this offensive line can make any running back look like a Heisman candidate. It's just crazy at some of the holes they open up."
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about it for a couple years. It seems like, hey, this offensive line's good, and it just never lived to that. But this year, I mean, it is. And you can point to the Georgia game all you want and say, yeah, we didn't have that much success, and McGlinchey maybe got tore up a little bit, but it's like, you know what? You look at what Georgia's doing to people, and we held our own. We fought. We were very, very competitive. It's not like we got blown off the ball a zillion times. I mean, this offensive line is finally as good as advertised.
Yeah, it's better than advertised. I mean, I'm telling you, and I think I said this last week. My favorite thing on like Sunday, Monday afternoons is when all the offensive line highlight tweets are coming out. There's a couple guys on Twitter that always are tweeting them out. I love it. It's just fun.
You see some pancakes and
yeah, it's fun to see Quentin Nelson. I think there was one, and they might have been actually from the Georgia game, where Quentin Nelson's on the left side, kind of just standing there. No one's coming on his side. Peeks out of his probably the right corner of his eye, sees this guy coming off like a outside linebacker blitz, and just pancakes him.
Yeah, essentially they overload blitz the right side. Quentin Nelson and McGlinchey handled the guy he had. Somehow Quentin Nelson had the awareness to notice that, and it's like, first of all, the awareness of that in and of its own is unbelievable. Okay, and it's just that is as somebody who knows nothing about offensive line protections, I am amazed even at looking at that.
Yeah, it's just crazy. It's awesome to see.
So with that, Wimbush, with that offensive line, had 12 carries for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. The nice 50-yarder that he had. I missed the 50-yarder, by the way, in the stadium. I don't remember what I was doing. I pretty much try to time my bathroom break / hey, I need a pretzel with when they go to their 4-minute NBC commercial. And I was like, all right, well, here comes a punt. And I'm looking down at the little guy with the orange gloves on, trying to see. And like normally he'll give a little signal if they're still playing or something, and I can find it. But for some reason I was like, I missed the signal or something, and I was like, all right, here's my chance. And I left, and they apparently were playing. So I hear the crowd going crazy and touchdown, Brandon Wimbush, or whatever, And I'm like, God dang it. So I get back, and it's like, yeah, Wimbush didn't even get touched 50 yards.
That's awesome. Hey, how was the rain on Saturday?
Tailgating, I got lucky because, first of all, I didn't get out until like noon because, if I'm not tailgating my own tailgate, I'm actually very much enjoying sleeping in a little bit, heading out late, not as long of a day. But apparently in the morning it was downpouring, and I missed that. I was with my little cousin. I took him to the game. We went inside the Joyce Center to eat some Nelson's chicken, and apparently when we were inside the Joyce Center, it started downpouring. We got back out, and it really wasn't raining. So I missed all of it. But, I mean, it was cold. It was cold and wet. I can tell you that.
Yeah, look, I was very happy with my couch. It was warm. I had cold beer.
Nice.
And it was nice.
I saw your tweet.
It was beautiful.
Couch, cold beer, college football.
Nothing better. It was like the first Saturday I got to sit on the couch and I didn't have to do anything. I woke up at 9:58, turned on College Game Day. It was a beautiful day. Great day.
Nice. Perfect. Doesn't get any better than that. I'm looking forward to doing that this weekend on a road game. But I got two things. First, one thing that we forgot to share last week when we had watched the game together was, how do old people say Brandon?
Oh, Brendan.
Like this old guy behind us, and he, bless his heart, not making fun of him at all, but he was like, "Let's go, Brendan. Let's show them Brendan." So apparently, old people say Brendan.
Yes. Oh, it was Brendan every time. Brandon.
And
boy, Brendan.
He had like his grandson that was probably our age with him behind him, and then he started catching on. Brendan. Let's go, Brendan. Show them Brendan.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
So that was funny. As we were talking about Brendan Wimbush there, I wanted to bring that up. The other thing, I got some positive feedback of the Porta Potty 101 segment that we had last week.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Deal.
If you need any other just words of wisdom from us here, whether it's about porta potties or whatever you need to know about campus, we're the spot for that. So
yeah, we'll accept questions about anything. Having troubles with your girl? Having troubles with your boy?
Yeah. With your boy, I don't know anything about that.
Well, we might be able to help you out. You never know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, females. Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're like the advice gurus. We're like, what's Delilah? We're Delilah after dark.
Delilah?
Yeah, you don't remember? You don't remember the old radio show? It was like Delilah.
Oh my, the local chick. Oh my god.
Boyfriend broke up with me. I want to play. I don't know.
Yeah, that was terrible. That chick.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Delilah.
All right, Porta Potty 101. Come at us if you need any other additional tailgate or Notre Dame advice. So
Absolutely.
Okay, let's move on. What did you think of the receivers last week? Claypool had a nice little breakout game, 9 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, I would say so. That's probably the best game we've seen a receiver have all year.
Absolutely.
I was not. I was pleased. Claypool stole the show, but we were getting a lot of guys involved. I thought you had I don't know, probably 5 or 6 different receivers make catches this week.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different guys caught a ball.
Yep, and I love it when we spread the ball around. That means you have weapons. There's guys that can make plays, so I'm all about that.
I'll say this. I nitpicked Wimbush a little bit there and said he could make some throws. I'll say that there are catches out there to be had by this receiving core. Claypool dropped some balls. Claypool is wide open down the sideline, right in his chest, wide open, going to score a touchdown, drops it. Equanimeous. What is up with Equanimeous? Because we keep saying all year that he's soft and he's playing soft and the dude cannot be effective. Now, does this emergence of Claypool help that? Does Stepherson help that? The emergence? I don't know. We haven't seen it at this point. But at this point, I expect virtually nothing out of him.
Yeah, it's disappointing because I mean the guy had a great year, last year, and you expect a lot out of him coming in, and it just hasn't been there. But you got to ask for guys to step up, and so far we've seen. Stepherson kind of has slowly started to work his way back in and starting to step up a little bit. And then you see Chase Claypool come in this week and step up. So, if EQSB is not going to do the job, whatever. Just, who next man in? Let's get it going.
When you say that, and it's like, if he's not gonna and he's going to be this inconsistent, why can't we just see a little bit? Why can't he split time with Boykin? Why can't Boykin get a couple more reps? I haven't seen Boykin go in there and do anything bad.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with you, but it's I don't know. You have to ask that question. At what point do you take your potential playmaker out?
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good point. Your potential playmaker, what Equanimeous can do with the ball in his hands, if it works out. But at this point, at what point do you take that risk, the potential, as you said, of a big play, athletic play, to a guy like Boykin who's probably a little bit more sure? At what point? When does that happen?
And something I'll say is right now, we're winning, and I don't see Brian Kelly fixing something that really isn't. I mean, it might be a little broke, but it hasn't shattered yet.
No, but I don't know. It could become a bigger issue. But, at the end of the day, Claypool did drop some passes, okay? And so did Equanimeous. But you're not going to be perfect, okay? But all you do is catch the football and block people. So practice that, and please be a wide receiver and catch the ball, or go to defensive back or safety or something, please, or whatever. Get off the field if you're not going to perform at this point.
Yeah, you're such a tough critic, I tell
Sorry.
you what.
I mean, come on, catch the dang ball. If it's right in your hands, catch the ball. You're a wide receiver.
It was raining. It was slippery.
It would never, ball. It barely rained in the stadium. Okay?
Okay.
Come on. And they float in a new ball every play anyway. Give me a break.
All right. You're just a tough critic, You're a tough man to please. I see how it is.
I know. Anything else offensively you want to touch on?
No. I mean, we showed we can score the ball, and we got a lot of weapons that can do it. We got to be ready to score the ball this week again, I think. So, just keep it going.
What do we have, 710 yards of total offense? I mean, that's pretty dang good.
I would say it's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a day.
Now, defensively, would you, if you would have told me last week that our 20-point streak of 20 points or less as a defense scoring would have come to an end against Wake Forest, and that they would have put up 37, I would have bet you my life on it.
Yeah, and we've noticed that you're not a very good bettor when it comes to points, aka last year Duke. I'll give you my season tickets if we give up more than 21.
So I ended up suing Brian Van Gorder for that because was the exclusive reason that I lost my season tickets last year.
Yeah, well, you got them right back. I mean, I sold them back to you for like a penny. so you're very lucky. I'm still waiting on the penny, by the way. Honestly, you probably would have had a pretty safe bet if I told you, I bet you that it will happen. You took it, wouldn't. But at some point, this defense had to break a little bit, don't you think? I mean, we kept talking, yeah, they're a lot better, but it doesn't seem like they were always quite there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to break and have a game, a humbling moment, let's call it a humbling moment.
Yeah.
It was right now, right before you go on the road and play a top 10 showdown.
And Bray, I mean, how many of these points were really scored in kind of garbage time?
Yeah, 14 for sure. The last two
Exactly.
touchdowns, 100% were.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I look at this 37 points as 25, and that's being a little, generous to Wake Forest.
Sure.
But at some point, this defense had to break. I mean, keeping every opponent under 20 points.
Unrealistic to sustain.
I mean, it's just you can't. And look, I didn't think Wake Forest was that bad of a football team. I thought their quarterback was he had a pretty good little arm on him, and he made passes and he made plays, and they weren't terrible football team, and they're still an ACC team. I mean, you just had to wait for this defense to break, and I think, like you said, it's a humbling moment. It's a kind of, all right, where did they pick on us? What did they, find in our defense to pick on? And you fix those going into this week.
So one of the things you have to ask is their familiarity with Elko. How much did that play into it? And regardless, if it's exposed, it's exposed. Other teams are going to find it at this point and pick on it. Is it tempo? Because they had a nice little tempo to their offense, but at the same time, we've played other teams with tempo. North Carolina played with tempo. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but you look at John Wolford. That's probably the worst name for a quarterback or an athlete. Period. John Wolford. That's their quarterback's name. 28 for 45, 331 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. It's like you said, and I think, I don't think he's played that well all year. So I think he was on his game. Honestly, and listening to Brian Kelly's post-game presser, it's like, look, they were executing, and that's the end of the day. They were executing, and like you said, there no way was our 20-point. Was our 20-pointer last streak sustainable throughout the entire season? And I'm okay with calling it a humbling moment strictly because the last 2 touchdowns that they scored in garbage time were, I'm not going to say our second string defense because I know Tranquil was still in, some of the corners were still in, I know Watkins was out, but some of the defensive line was kind of second string guys coming in and out there on those last couple drives. But regardless, it wasn't complete second team, and we were in a little bit of a prevent type look, like keeping everything in front of us, soft coverage. So I get it. Okay, when you're going to throw the ball 15 straight times, you're going to have some success against that coverage. You're going to find a hole. So, let's just call it a humbling moment and kind of move on from that.
Exactly. Sorry about the yawn there. I'm right there with you. I wasn't too. I mean, obviously, I was a little worried watching some things, but really, I'm not worried going into this week. Are you?
I was not. If you asked me before Saturday, and really our defense performance has very little to do with this thought, but honestly, when I watched that Miami Virginia Tech game, I'm not going to sit here and say Virginia Tech was world beaters on offense, but their defensive line impressed me a little bit more than I originally thought. And I knew that they had a little bit of a defense there, but they still pretty much manhandled Virginia Tech. And I don't really care how good Virginia Tech is offensive line, but like at any time that you can kind of manhandle somebody, I mean, you're pretty good at that point. So like I might have undervalued their defensive line.
So I probably should have rephrased my question a little better. What I meant to say was, are you worried about the defense going into next week?
Oh.
I would say I'm a little worried about this game. Obviously, it's a top 10 opponent. I mean, if you're not worried, you should have your pulse checked. I'm not as worried as much about the defense. I think they're going to, fix whatever needs to be fixed, what little needs to be fixed, and they'll be back to their ways this week.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I don't think that we're going to see any lingering effects of this. Miami offensively, I just don't like. They're solid. Okay, they have a nice little running back. Their quarterback Malik Rozier, shows signs of being very good. But at the same time, I don't think that they're absolute world beaters. And I mean, you look at it. Rozier's thrown 75 more times than Wimbush has this year. Has almost doubled. He has 1,000 more yards. He has 8 more touchdown passes, but 5 more interceptions. So I just don't like. I don't know. I don't think that they're that great offensively, and I think that our defense will definitely keep them in check in terms of. I don't think we're going to give up 37, and if we do, I really don't care, even as long as we win, But
I'll win 49-48. I really don't care.
I'm with you there. We just got to get this W. I mean, we open as a 3-point favorite, so I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
Were you worried at all with the defense giving up 37 points and really kind of making this game look closer than it was? Did you think that would affect us in the rankings at all?
I didn't, because I think the top 4 that we have right now is pretty set in stone at this point throughout the season. Not saying people can't lose, but through resumes, through what has been through what teams have been doing, the top 4 and being Georgia, Alabama, us, and Clemson. I think I couldn't see any movement there. If anything, I probably would have said maybe Bama gets back to 1, but that would have been the only change. Because now you don't have to worry about Penn State or Ohio State popping in that 4th spot. So no, I didn't think so, and I think that the committee really watches every detail of every game. I think they would have saw that 14 of the 35, right? 14 of the 35 were garbage time points, and at the end of the day, I didn't think it would do too much to us.
Exactly, and I think that's where having the college football committee pays off. If this was a coach's poll or a writer's poll, they don't see every game. They don't pay attention to every box score. So they see 37-48. They think, wow, this game was a little bit closer. Notre Dame really didn't handle Wake Forest, but in reality they did. So the college football committee can go in and actually see the details of the game, see that Notre Dame was in control. So I think what this kind of showed was we really, really control our own destiny.
Yes.
So you just got to win.
I think that has been even more validified.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like this week kind of, I thought that, but all these people are saying, well, you got to win, you got to dominate people. You can't slip up. Well, I think this week showed that, a win, we just got to win. Yeah.
And look, the other thing that we have to throw out there is there was never a point that I was sitting there in the stadium or really anybody that was watching the game and said, holy crap, we're going to lose. I don't think that anybody ever said that. There's no way that you could have said that. So that's a huge difference. Think about 2012. How many games did we sneak by there, right? Completely different sneak by game. We won by 11 points, So, but
exactly.
So I'm looking at this Miami Notre Dame preview thing on ESPN, okay? And they have all these people commenting, and here's a comment for you. Virginia Tech fan here. If Miami can play like they did against the Hokies, then they will remain undefeated. ND presents no passing threat. Stop the run and win the game. Make the ACC proud, Miami. Miami wins big and proves ND are overrated as always.
It sounds like a Southern man just talking some ish on the old internet.
Yeah, that was really hard to read because I was trying to correct his horrible use of words as I was reading it. And then at the very end, I had to go with ND are overrated as always. I just had to say what he wrote. So
ND, they overrated over there in South Bend. They just overrated. They don't know what's coming to them down in the U.
No. I mean, the thing, look, if Miami plays like they did against Virginia Tech, first of all, this offensive line, they're not going to let that happen. I'm not saying we're not going to give up a sack. I'm not saying we're not going to turn the ball over. I'm saying that the offensive line is different than Virginia Tech, a completely different animal. We're going to come right at you, and Josh Adams is going to come right at you, and Tony Jones Jr. is going to come right at you, and Brandon Wimbutt, that's a three-headed monster right there just coming right at you. Completely different ball game there for them. So again, also if Miami plays that way, how many turnovers did Miami have? 3? Notre Dame has been done very well in turning turnovers into points. So
Right.
yeah, go ahead, Miami, play like that again.
Exactly. Please.
So I don't know. The one thing that kind of has me, I'm a little superstitious. Okay, so the fact that Miami's last loss was to Notre Dame, I don't really know what that means, but it's like, are they more motivated because of that? I don't know, but as a little superstition to me, it's kind of like, oh, that kind of plays into their hands a little bit if they use motivation as any sort of tool to win.
So you're asking because their last loss was Notre Dame, will that motivate them? So they lost last year?
Yeah.
I don't see that. I honestly I don't see that motivating them, but if it does, good for them. I don't see how that motivates you.
I don't know either.
That's so old. I mean, that's so long ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's pushing a year. Like, you really think that they're like, man, we haven't lost since we played Notre Dame? Or like you think after that game, they're like, we're never going to lose again? I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
come on.
I mean, they were 4-4 at that point when they lost to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And then they won their next 5 games, but still.
So they've won 13 in a row. I mean, that's pretty good if they've won that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
So
It definitely is.
what do you think of their little their chain and whatnot, their turnover chain?
The turnover chain. I saw a tweet today that said the original turnover chain, and it was a rosary. So I'm gonna wear. I think we should all wear rosaries in Saturday, and the first time they turn the ball over, find our like hoodist, like
A hoodist.
gangsta guy, and I want him to go over to this U sideline, take that chain like it's WWE and you just won the belt, and then when we win, I want you to throw it in the ocean before you fly out.
Throw it in South Beach.
Yeah, throw it in the South, the maybe it'll float to Cuba or something,
I will say, I think the chain is ridiculous, and it, obviously they don't really care about their criminal image, right? Because that's all that looks like when they have that thing on. First of all, it's a better prop than a trash can. Okay, it's a way better turnover prop than a trash can.
That was Tennessee, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean they're just
Look how that.
yeah, might as well be in a dumpster. I mean, come on.
It's interesting, but yeah, I want our most gangsta player, whoever that may be. Maybe it's I don't know. I don't even know who it would be. I want you to go over there, steal the turnover chain, and see what happens. Get a little 80. What was it? 87. The Holtz Jimmy
Yeah.
Johnson game when Holtz said, "You beat the Hurricanes and saved Jimmy Johnson's ass for me." I want a little bit of that this week.
That's good. I like that, man. Some of this stuff on Twitter, man, people are getting into it.
Yeah, they are.
I haven't seen, look, I think USC's a rival. I think Michigan's a rival. And I go back and forth, especially locally here, because there are a lot of Michigan fans in this general area. And that's a heated exchange. That's an emotional, heated exchange between some people. I've seen some stuff on Twitter that is just pure hate, and it is awesome.
Well, you got to think a lot of Notre Dame fans, like our generation, your generation, Notre Dame fans, we never really played Miami
Right.
when we were kind of growing up. It was always Michigan, Purdue, Navy,
Yep. Michigan
USC.
State. Yep.
So, but in '87 and then the '90s, it was Florida State and Miami and USC.
Yep.
Those were kind of the big guys that came into South Bend. You had the game in '93 with Florida State, and then the big game in '87, Catholics versus Convicts. So to that generation, these are huge rivalries, especially the Catholic versus Convicts. That still rubs Miami people the wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point because we're probably not the best people to listen to in terms of a rivalry, gauging this rivalry. I mean, I remember 2 games. That's all. I remember us beating the rails off of them and running for 1,000 yards in Chicago in the Shamrock Series. And I remember last year's game. Other than that, I mean, I was 1 year old the last time they played in '93. I mean, I got no insight for you there, other than there's a lot of hate.
Yeah. So for a generation of Notre Dame fans, this is a big game.
Absolutely.
Big
For
old
our parents, I mean, think about
Yeah.
it. Our parents, this is as good as it gets for them.
Well, my parents probably could care less, but yeah, I guess so.
So Miami and them creating turnovers. So if you had any sort of bold prediction, would you go as far as saying we won't turn the ball over this weekend? Because obviously turnover battle and winning that is key.
That's a tough one to say. I, I don't think I can say that. So much stuff can happen, you know. Um, you never know. I think we'll have one, maybe two, but I really think we don't do a bad job of taking care of the ball. So one at the most. I would love to see them not take out that stupid chain.
That'd be great. The problem is this: you can't go. It's hard to go on the road and win anyway. And when you turn the ball over, I mean that just the mountain becomes insanely hard to climb.
Absolutely.
The one thing I'll point to is we didn't have a turnover against Michigan State. That was on the road, a decently primetime game at that point. A real turning point in the season of where are we going to go? Where was this team heading? So obviously, great job in that game on the road. Not letting that happen. So what's weird is that I think we're gonna have a turnover this weekend, and I don't think we're gonna get like 2 or 3, but I think Wimbush is gonna drop a ball, or he's gonna fumble a ball because he's too lackadaisical with it. Something along the lines there is gonna happen, and I don't know if that really has an impact on the game because I think our defense is going to take the ball away once or twice, whether it be a forced fumble or an interception. We're going to force them into a couple mistakes. Can we still win that turnover battle even though we're probably going to turn it over? That's the question. That's going to be the key to the game, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I mean, you just never know what's going to happen, but the biggest thing is we need to win the turnover battle, and I think you're absolutely correct about that, especially being on the road. It's a huge stat.
I just think the pressure is being underplayed here because you can say that there was pressure against Michigan State, maybe, but it was so early where it's like, okay, if we fall off the deep end early, okay, this is just another year under Brian Kelly. But we're number 3 in the country going on the road and playing a top 10 team. And I think that there is a little bit of pressure there that is not being as valued to some that Wimbush is going to feel.
Would you say... I mean, we've said it about probably 2 games this season now, but would you say this is the biggest game now of Brian Kelly's tenure?
Yes. And fortunately for him, I don't think Miami is. I think that they're a good football team, but I from the beginning I've never feared them in any which way, shape, or form. So fortunately for him, this isn't Oklahoma where it's like, God, they might kill us, in 2012 type thing. And I know we always reference that, but they don't worry me as much as that. Now, I'm not saying Wimbush is going to go out there and piss down his leg. I'm saying that, where can we limit that and how bad does that impact the game? Because I think it's inevitable this weekend. Going on the road in a primetime matchup, game day's there, everyone's watching it. There's a lot of pressure on this game that I think, it was not there even against Georgia. The pressure for that game, in my opinion, is nowhere near the pressure in this one.
Yep, I'm right there with you. On the road, just adds a whole nother thing. It's gonna be, I'm guessing South Beach is gonna be rocking, and it's gonna be a lot of U fans.
Yeah, I think offensively we're going to be okay. I don't know if we get to 40, but we've been scoring a lot of points. And I think, if our defense can just be, if they can be normal, if they can do half of what they've been doing throughout the season minus last week, I think we're going to be just fine. And I think that their defensive line might pose a little bit of a threat to us. I think that they are more athletic than they're probably more comparable to a Georgia. I'm not saying they're that good, but I'm saying in terms of athleticism, they're probably ranking up there with the USC. Now, we dominated USC, but it's just there's a lot of things. It's hard to predict things, but just looking at you look at the eye test, right? We're physical. It's a sustainable model that we have in place right now. Hey, we're going to run the football down your throat, and I don't care if you know it. I don't care if you have 8, 9 guys in the box. You're going to have to respect the pass at some point because we're going to throw it. And, it's a sustainable model to continue success. And going on the road, I wouldn't want it to be any other way at this point. I feel more comfortable at this point because we're not depending on DeShone Kizer to throw the ball 40, 45 times a game to go beat Temple on the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just a much better – it gives you a much better feeling. It's much more consistent. the physicality that we've kind of brought to this team is just it's on a different level, and I think that helps us, especially in terms of being comfortable on the road. And the other thing is this. The weather in South Florida, you just never know. It could be absolutely gorgeous, and it could rain in 20 minutes. And then, it could monsoon for 15 minutes, and then it's perfect the rest of the night. Is that possible this weekend? Haven't seen the weather report. But if you have that situation, this isn't NC State in a hurricane last year. At this point, we're physical. We should be able to run the football, in that situation.
Yeah, so I want to make a little bit of a bold prediction here. Before we wrap this up. Bold prediction for this week. Brandon Wimbush has his best game of the year and has a little coming out party. Bold prediction.
Okay. And by best game, I mean, are we talking over 100 rushing yards, over 250 passing yards?
I'm saying throwing the ball, running the ball, but mostly throwing the ball. He has one of his best games. Or his best game. Coming out party for Brandon Wimbush. Brendan.
And that's the thing to me is, like, if we take that next step offensively and throwing the football, I mean, how do you defend it? If you're Miami right now, and we had a solid passing game this last weekend, and it's only gotten better. I mean, what do you even begin to do? I mean, do you completely sell it on the run? I mean, because the play action plus Wimbush's legs is a completely new element that we've added to this point, and it's like, what do you do? I mean, what do you pick? What poison are you taking in that situation?
Yep, and like I said, 3-dimensional. You can't.
Science.
You can stop one, but guess what? There's 2 others to pick from.
Yep, I'm with you. I think it's tough, man. You add Wimbush, man, running that football. You got a Josh Adams. You got anybody on the outside that day that just wants to catch a couple balls. I mean, it's gonna be tough. It's tough to defend.
Yep, I'm ready. I'm looking forward to this weekend. 8 o'clock is gonna be a slow day getting up to 8 o'clock.
This is what I hope, okay? And I don't know how true this is going to be. Your bold predictions that Wimbush is going to sling it all over the yard and have a great game. I hope that we are just in a position that we can just run the ball 40 times and they can't do anything about it. I mean, how great would that be?
I'd be all for that too, but I'm down for whatever. I'm just making a little bold prediction. I'm hoping we can shove it down their throats, and Josh Adams has 355 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, and break some record, or and I don't care what we do, but let's just go freaking win a football game and maybe even dominate. That would if we dominate, I'll be excited.
33 trucking.
That's right. Did you get a hat this week?
No, they had them at the books. I didn't go get one. I should have. A lot of people had them.
My roommate got one. They look pretty nice.
Yeah, they're actually not a bad hat at all.
But. Yeah, but I think the 33 trucking took a little hit past week. But
yeah, well, actually, did you hear Brian Kelly spin that at all?
No.
So
I didn't listen.
Obviously, he's a great politician, and the NCAA has all their crap, so they spun this pretty well. Brian Kelly said, yeah, it's a kind of a coincidence that Josh Adams is number 33 because we were kind of using the motto of, well, we've got 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, and 11 guys on special teams, and that's 33 trucking. That's 33 people. And I'm like, all right, way to spin that one. Except every time Josh Adams has a 70-yard run, we hear the truck horn in the stadium.
Exactly. Oh, that's ironic.
Man, the special teams did a lot there on that 33 trucking.
Exactly.
All right, you want to give me a score for this weekend?
Score for this weekend. I'm going to go 35-21.
35-20. What?
35-20.
Okay. I'm going 31-17.
So we're right around the same area.
Controlling it. We're just going to be consistent enough on offense. Don't know if we quite have enough to get to 40, but I think the defense, we create a couple turnovers, and this might be a game where we might actually win the time of possession. That hasn't been an issue coming, to this point because we score so quickly. But I would not be upset at all if we have a couple drives that take 5-6 minutes and we're just wearing the crap out of them.
It's like a Gymtown football. What's your best defense? Your offense with the ball.
Just hold it, baby. Hold it. Okay, well, that's going to wrap it up here for this week. You can find Augie on Twitter at Augie Farwig. You can find me on Twitter at BrayBeatles34. I will be on and off Twitter probably on Saturday. as I will not be in attendance. Thank God. Looking forward to a weekend of kind of relaxation and maybe one more yard leaf pickup before the snow hits. And any closing words, Og?
Just be glad you're not picking up trees. Had a tornado come through town on Sunday.
You guys did?
Yeah. Missed my house probably by about a mile. So
wow.
Be lucky.
That's too
Be
bad.
lucky you're not picking up trees. Yep. But yeah, looking forward to Saturday. It's going to be a long day waiting for this game to come. I'm going to have to, pace myself drinking wise. I don't want to be, hammered by the time 8 o'clock rolls around. So I might have to start at like 2 instead of noon.
And that daylight savings time where it's like dark at 5 o'clock.
It feels like midnight at 5.
Yeah. Well, technically it's 11:30. I'm still technically used to it being 11:30. So
yeah.
5 o'clock hits and you're like, okay, it's time for bed.
Homeboy's tired.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you for listening to us here. Again, this is From the Dome, the only Notre Dame football podcast that has not stolen a name or stolen a close name. That's a shot at.
Shots?
Yeah, shots fired. So, thank you all for listening. Please share. Augie, you want to remind the audience the best form of promotion once again?
Tell all your friends.
Word of mouth, baby. Thank you guys, and we'll catch you next week.
Pop a bottle for the girl with no boyfriend. Drink it all, we don't care. We just order more and light a blunt for the team, cause we all here. Take a hit and make a hit. Nigga, this is our year. In the game like a playbook, zoning out. No idea where we're going. One day we will figure out. Everything was meant to be. Don't trip, it's only bitter now. Life is just a bitch, but don't you worry, I will sit her down. Tell her bring the ketchup. These weenies need a dressing. I ain't worried about your hustle, boy. Why you keep on pressing? Let me live, cause I will die if I don't sit and drink my dreams. A little bit, a little more, a little this. She the reason you just up here at the show, right? I bring your girl out and she can stay the whole night. If this the good life, I'm aiming for a better one. You're shooting for the stars, boy. You gon' need a better gun. Cause tonight, homie, we don't give a shit, man. That's your girlfriend, can I be your girl's friend? Go, trick it all and then some. We gon' burn it all, don't worry about your income. Cause tonight, homie, we don't give a shit, man. That's your girlfriend, can I be your girl's friend? Go, trick it all and then some. We gon' burn it all, don't worry about your income. Over here, we only really party with the baddest. And with you is when she turns into an actress. Showing up, you know what? We gon' do this damn thing. Roll it up, smoke it up, it's pulling like a hamstring. Crew neck, snap back, mixing on my wrist, man. I am not a hipster, sister, I just do some hip things. Every night is mine, it's Christ. Boy, I pray to God and I did not sell my soul. I just gave him all we got. See this Jaeger got her giddy, better tell her about my city. And that Diddy shit, we smoke a puff, a cloud of something biggie. I'm 20 years young, living reckless with my friends. And if you forgot your wallet, just tell Ralph he got the spends. Waiting for that night, yeah, I think about it all. It's a red carpet moment when these lights begin to call. Me and my girl chilling, smiling with a pose. We just looking at the camera, hoping everybody shows. Cause tonight, homie, we don't give a shit, man. That's your girlfriend, can I be your girl's friend? Go, drink it all and then some. We gon' burn it all, don't worry about your income. Cause tonight, homie, we don't give a shit, man. That's your girlfriend, can I be your girl's friend? Go, drink it all and then some. We gon' burn it all, don't worry about your income. Cause tonight, homie, we don't give a shit, man. That's your girlfriend, can I be your girl's friend? Go, drink it all and then some. We gon' burn it all, don't worry about your income.